And can you talk about how this understanding relates to what you do as a head teacher?
Yeah, in my role as a head teacher, I mean, it's very, very interesting because obviously there's all the interactions with children. There's also a lot of interactions with staff and with other adults, really. So there's lots of parents and so on that I meet with. And having the understanding for myself, first and foremost, as a job, at times, it has been quite tiring, quite stressful. But having this understanding has completely changed that for me because it feels so much easier to do the things that I need to do in my daily job. What it's also enabled me to do is to share this understanding with whoever it is I'm coming into contact with. And so I've had some quite profound moments with children where they've been stuck in their thinking, been upset, been miserable, been worried by things that have been happening for them. And I've been able to just talk to them, really, just chat to them in terms that they could understand as a child, but pointing them in this direction of the understanding that says, you know, we have lots of thoughts, but actually we don't necessarily have to believe all of those thoughts. They can come and go, but often we treat all of those thoughts as if they are true and that we have to believe every single one. Talking to them a bit about that, but also saying to them that actually if they follow what I'm saying, that's great. If they don't, it really doesn't matter at all, because somehow it's like magic, and that the wisdom that's part of my wisdom that I'm tapped into is also their wisdom too, and that the wisdom talks to wisdom, truth is talking to truth. And although that might sound quite, it is quite sort of airy-fairy in a way, and it's not specific, it really does work like that. It is almost like magic. And there's been some amazing things where children have then, after maybe as short a time as 40, 50 minutes, it's completely changed how they've been operating. And has then been sustained afterwards. It's not they felt good for a short while afterwards, but it's actually altered how they're dealing with life, and they've got that insights, they've gained those insights, and it's a bit like learning to swim. Once you've got that, you don't ever forget it.
How's it helping you deal with problem kids in the classroom and problem parents even?
I mean, children that have behavioural difficulties, I always like referring to them as their most vulnerable children, because I think if you think of vulnerability, then you don't want to smack them down. You actually want to cradle them, you want to look after them and take care of them. So from that standpoint, it's using the understanding with children to talk to them once if they've been very angry, giving them some cool off time, giving them time to get back into their own health, and realise and see in each and every person, whether it's the child or the adult, seeing that health in that person, that the behaviour might be one thing, it might be an angry parent coming in and shouting and swearing, but actually behind that is just a person trying to do their best in that moment.
Is there any stories or anything you'd like to share about maybe things that have happened with parents or children, or anything you find people might find useful?
I could talk about a little girl who had become completely obsessed with another child. She sort of wanted to be friends with this child. The other child was very full on all the time and very, very dominating. And so this child then got to the point where she really was almost losing her own identity, and yet also talking about this other child all the time, talking to their parents about the child, and then worrying whether the child was going to be her best friend that day or not, and completely at the mercy, it seemed, of the other child. And so I talked to the worried child's parents, and they were at their wits' end too. They really didn't know what to do. So I said, well, I'll talk to this child tomorrow. And so I did. I chatted for about 45 minutes. And what this child was able to see very, very quickly is that it was her own thinking about this other child that was dominating her thinking. And that once she started to see that, she realised she could free herself from it. She could make a choice, and that in every moment there was a choice. And near the end of the 45 minutes that we were talking, she started. I said to her, how are you feeling now? And she felt. I said, I feel quite a lot better. So I said to her, what's in the quite? And so she said, well, the thing is, last June, bear in mind this conversation was happening in October, last June, I can remember when this child was turning and saying, oh, to another child, and I think she was talking about me. And I was just about to be thinking, how am I going to phrase, come on, this is your thinking? And the child stopped and just burst out laughing and said, oh, goodness, I'm doing it again. That's my thinking, isn't it? And I think it's just tremendous to see so much insight gained so quickly that it was all there, that wisdom was there for that child. She just hadn't realised it. Another little girl, that child was 10, another little girl I was talking to just the other day, she's 8 years old, got very, very anxious about her spellings and getting things wrong, and then proceeded to tell me that actually she got anxious just about everything. She had an imaginary friend who always told her negative things about herself. We got talking, we talked a bit about what thinking's like and about what we're all like, and partway into it she said to me, oh well, I do have good thoughts, it's just that I don't hear them. And I'm saying to her, wow, that's just amazing, that's so amazing really, that you've realised that, because now you've realised that, maybe bit by bit you'll start to hear some of those good thoughts. And then also, with no prompting at all, a bit later on in it, she said to me, the thing is about my thinking, I just believe every thought I have. And so again, being able to challenge that, and maybe to think, you don't have to believe every single thought that she had, releases her then, and gives her a lot more opportunity to maybe hear some of that wisdom that's there. For certain, it's there for her. The thing about, from the job point of view, is that there's lots of things happen. There's a whole multitude of things that happen, and sometimes I've described it to my wife some days as totally seamless days. One bit completely overlaps the other, and that sometimes can be really exhausting, because people can come, whether it's children or adults, can come asking things of me, and as if it's taking stuff away from me, really. And as if it's about giving out, and that in itself can feel really exhausting. And that would be the old me, and I could get absolutely and completely exhausted from it. I still enjoyed it and found it fascinating and all those things, but it was exhausting. Having a knowledge of the three principles and gaining some insights, one of the things was that I didn't need to be giving out to other people all the time. Actually, what I could give would be a helping hand in people being able to have their own solutions, gaining their own insights. Because after all, if somebody comes to you wanting a solution and I come up with that solution, that will be my solution to it. Whereas actually helping that person along a path, pointing them in the direction of their own solutions, is going to be much more fulfilling for them and much, much less exhausting for me. So that, in a way, in itself, has made a huge difference to how I manage myself within the job situation.